Welcome to Punky's World. This is a genealogy video. These are my great-grandmother's letters. What a treasure to have. Before I get there, I did watch some of the town meeting. Not the town meeting, I'm sorry. The, excuse me. The selectmen's meeting, but it was basically prep for town meeting, because town meeting's in a couple of weeks. There was one interesting thing, and that was that for some reason, there is someone that owns a couple of streets in town, a couple of cul-de-sacs, and he wants them to become town roads instead of private roads. Well, he hasn't given them the Mylar, which is like a plastic thing to sign, where it shows them the roads and all the information they need to make an informed decision. Hasn't given them a letter from town council because hasn't shown town council the Mylars. So, they had to put it off. He didn't even show up. The construction guy showed up. Anyway, so yeah, I would have just voted no. And I'll tell you, if it's on the, and it's already on the warrant, which it shouldn't be because they haven't signed off on it yet. And I'd vote no, because I wouldn't vote blind. That is not the right way to vote, in my opinion. Okay, now, on to my great-grandmother's letters. East Livermore, Maine, September 20th, 1951. Keep in mind, this is less than a month before she died. Dear Maud, that's her sister. Just a few lines. How are you and Bert? If you want us, we may all be over Sunday to take dinner with you. If you aren't going to have anyone else and feel good and want us, that is, if the Lord wills and our jalopy gets us there. Now, if you are having anyone else and don't feel good, just drop us a card. Okay. Okay. She's telling her what the kids are up to. Her son Ronald is just getting ready to go to work. Edson, I assume that's her husband Edson and not her son, has gone. Mayvilla is abed, meaning she's still in bed. She's going to Farmington Fair today. I made 14 quarts of green tomato minced meat yesterday. Green tomatoes minced meat yesterday. Wow. And have most of a bushel of green ones now. I'm going to make a sweet relish. Wow. We have quite a lot of ripe ones to eat, but none to can. Well, sis, so long. So that's one of her letters, and you can see her handwriting. My mother found this so precious, and so do I. When she saw it, if you could have seen her face light up. This is also to Maud, from February 7th, 1943. My dear sis, I was sitting here wishing I might see you. Wishing doesn't get us far, though. I love how she spelled though. I was glad to get your letter. Did Mr. Joden get over to see you? Or Mrs. Joden? I suppose she is just the same as usual. Let's see. The kiddies are in school every day. Ron was out last Thursday with a bad cold, but it's better. If he didn't get more today, he went and got wet. I suppose tomorrow is wash day again. I may and may not. Oh, yeah. She got a letter and some pictures from Thelma. Okay, Thelma is cousin? It's Thelma Cox, anyway. Such is life. Well, here is Frank's address. Private Frank E. Cox, and it's his address in the military. Camp Gordon, Georgia. That would be my mother's Uncle Frank. Because remember, that was 1943. It was during World War II. Here's another one from 51. I don't know if there's a date on that one. It's 7:45. I've got breakfast. I put up lunches, done dishes, swept 2 floors, and pumped the boiler of water. I'm going to do my washing when Ronald gets up to help me. Edson and Mayvilla have gone to work. She didn't feel very good, but she went just the same. Edson has a very bad cold. He did not feel good this morning. She canned 28 quarts of string beans. Wow. I mean, think about all the work that she did. I mean, that is absolutely stinking insane. Okay. What else did she do? Oh, Fleta was over today. Over to Mount Vernon last week and all week. And then she loved H, which is Hazel. Fleta's my grandmother. Edson is my great-grandfather. That's the Edson she's talking about. Mayvilla is was my great-aunt Maud, and Ronald was my great-uncle Ronald. This one's not dated. Let's see. Just a line. Got home. Had a nice trip home. Got here at 4:15. Edson felt quite sick before he got here. The rest of us are all right. Have canned 5 quarts of ripe tomatoes and have my sweet relish for cooling. Mayvilla has closed the wash, has done the washing, and has cleaned my kitchen cabinets. Wow. You may not find this interesting, okay? Which is why I'm not reading you the entire letters, although that one wasn't very long. Okay. Here's this just a scribble. This is September 15th, 1951. Now, you gotta remember, she died in October of 51. This is August. A lot of these were right around the time she died. Think about what she was doing. How much canning she was doing, work she was doing. Within weeks of her death, she was very sick from kidney failure and in screaming pain to be doing the things that she was doing. I mean, it's crazy. Just a scribble, as it's most time for the man. When are you coming in again? Hope it will be soon. I planted Saturday. Yeah, plants she'll never see. This is Monday, 10 a.m. Got my general work done. That is all. One of these was talking about my grandmother coming over. Oh, Felita and Barbara were down yesterday all day. That's my grandmother and my aunt. My aunt was just a baby. My grandmother would have been, yeah, very pregnant with Auntie Edie. That was September. Auntie Edie was born in December. So she would have been 6 months pregnant with Auntie Edie. Frank and family were up, so had quite a lot of company. I was glad, as I've never go any place, so like to have folks call. We got a shower last night in the night. Rained hard, but the rest was not too bad. Edson and Ronald are working. My villa has gone up to Julie Consento. Edson has his potatoes dug got 38 bushels. Holy Moses! Do you know how many potatoes that is? One of those baskets with the wood and the metal is a bushel basket. 38 of those. I suggested if we have more than we will need to give her. Okay, Edson is going to give Lizzie, she's a Cox too, a bushel of spuds. I suggested we have more than we will use. Give her some turnips too. I haven't felt very well the last 2 days. How is everything down your way? Suppose Bert has his garden all gathered in by this time. Okay. You don't feel good. Well, that's an understatement, because you're going to die in a few weeks. That's why it's hard to read that sometimes, She was in kidney failure. My grandmother would go down and take care of her, and at the end of her life, she was literally screaming in pain from her kidneys failing. So I can't even. That's very painful. I can't even imagine. I just, ooh. But to have that glimpse into their simple farm lives back then, And there's actually quite a few glimpses into simple Maine farm life. If you go online, there a lot of people have people's journals and things actually published online, talking about different storms and about the crops that year and things like that. There was a particularly good one. Can't remember the gentleman's name. I think he was distantly related, and they had put his journal up from a certain year on a website, and he talks about the Old Farmer's Almanac and the storms and doing this and doing that, and it was fascinating, where he went, where he took his product, and I would look for that. Maybe Google Old Maine Journals or something. You might find some from your state, you know. Find websites dedicated to your state, like your big city libraries. Okay, your small town library may not have as much information online, but I would suggest if you live in a small town like I do, and you have the option of getting a big city library card, if you have, we have library groups. The one that our library is a part of, and our big city library is a part of, is called CW Mars. It's Central and Western Massachusetts. And they have different ones for different parts of the state. Like Boston is just Boston, because they have a bunch of libraries that are Boston Public Library. Worcester is part of CW Mars. I would recommend seeing if there are library groups in your area, and get the library card from the big city library, because they're going to have the most online resources in terms of genealogy, hopefully, and newspapers and things. In my case, I have the Worcester Library. If you're in Connecticut and you're in the Hartford County area, go for Hartford. Or, even better, we had one for because in Connecticut, in order to see records that are less than 100 years old, you need to be a member of a genealogical society. So we chose the Godfrey Library, and we're so glad we did. So that's something to think about. I hope I've helped you out here with another avenue for your genealogy. This would be called an oral history. This is going back in its folder. This isn't in with the oral histories. I'm not punching this. It's going back in the folder. To be protected by its little puppy at all costs, because I want nothing to happen to that, and I do not want it to get lost. You know, I think if, God forbid, there was ever a fire, the things that I would be most upset about losing wouldn't be my material things. You know what I mean? Most of the stuff in your house is replaceable. All this genealogy isn't replaceable. All of my great-grandmother's letters are not replaceable. Well, they might be if Carrie made another copy, but they're just not, like I said, my great-grandmother's letters, and I have other stuff, medical records that are not replaceable from, the 20s. And 40s. I have military records that are not replaceable, that I'm lucky to have at all. So that would be the most devastating to me. What I should invest in at some point for that stuff, and what I might do, is they have a fire safe that is made to hold files, like file folders, the hanging file folders, like I have up there. I might invest in one of those for the irreplaceable stuff. Just to be on the safe side. And it would clear up some room in there, because I would take them out of the binders and put them in file folders, label them up, and put them in there, because they do have a fire safe that is made for files. I would definitely invest in that at some point. I don't think they're terribly expensive. I'll have to do some research. Excuse me. And it's funny how they'll file, oh, it's a safe, it's a safe. No, it's a file safe. You know? And you just know by the way it's shaped that it's a file safe. And they open it up and sure enough it's full of files. So, just to protect the files from getting burnt up if there was ever a fire. Do I expect there ever to be? No. But it's something my mother and I should have done to protect that stuff. The other genealogy stuff, the actual records are replaceable slowly. It would be devastating. And financially, how would you ever replace them? Like I said, my grandfather's military records, my great uncle's military records, Aunt Clara's hospital records, Uncle Thomas's hospital records, my great grandmother's letters, and some other old documents that can't be replaced would go in there. So that's my plan. And it's not about locking something up. It's about keeping it safe from fire, not from anybody taking it, because nobody's going to take it. You know what I mean? And I've already decided, if something happens to my Uncle David, I'm ordering his military record. That isn't destroyed. Unlike a lot of the World War II records, his is a Vietnam record. And because I'm his niece, I can talk to Renee and say, do you care if I do this? And she'll say, the hell do I care? I already know what she's going to say, after he's gone. And I will get that record as part of my genealogy as well. And that will get locked up as well, for safety. She won't care. I'll give her a copy. She wants a copy of it. And I doubt seriously if she's still alive when he passes, which I also doubt, that my aunt would have any issue with it. Not that she's his wife, but not that she's got much of a leg to stand on, given the fact that she's not even the mother of any of his children, so. But like I said, she's a few years older than him, so chances are she'll be gone before him. Don't even want to think about any of that, but I'm just saying I want that record. It'll be interesting because he was in the Naval Hospital at one point in time. I believe he had problems with ulcers most of his life. He's had half his stomach removed. And so I think it had to do with that. But knowing that he was in the Naval Hospital makes me want to get those records even more. And just the interest in this man that I love, that I've loved my entire life, There's, I had, Fred McMurray had my 3 sons. I had my 3 dads. I had my dad, my Uncle David, and my Uncle Richard. I very much had my 3 dads. And my cousins, whether they'll admit it or not, had their 2 dads. They weren't as close to Uncle Richard as I was, but they were close to my dad. He was their other dad, He very much helped raise them. And, when his brother needed help, he stepped in. He and my mother stepped in. And I know Renee appreciates it. I know Lisa in her own weird way appreciates it. Um, if I ever get up the courage, I want to talk to Lisa about something. Um, but I don't think the boys fully grasp it, you know? And I remember talking to David on the phone when my father was dying. You know, hello, this is a man who helped raise you. This is your father's big brother, you know? Come here and say goodbye to this man. To me, he owed that to my father. He owed it to my mother. I love my aunt, but my mother was there more than she was. And she would tell you that. She loves her kids, there's no doubt. There was just a lot of other extraneous crap going on. And I just think that both of those boys should have said goodbye to their aunt and their uncle. And I understand Dennis was in Maine, his wife was dealing with cancer. I can give Dennis a pass. I cannot give David Allen a pass. I'm sorry. I will say he was on the phone every day when my mother was in the hospital. I think it was guilt over not saying goodbye to his uncle, although he still didn't come say goodbye to his aunt. And he could have, once she was, well, he couldn't come and see her because of COVID, but once she was on comfort care, he could have come and said goodbye, and should have. Now, did the girls come? No, but Renee lives quite a distance away. And it was very difficult to get a hold of Renee because she really wasn't on the, she has a computer now, but she really wasn't on the computer at the time. She was, so it was harder to get a hold of her. But she was at both funerals, I will tell you that. David wasn't at either one. And neither was Dennis, but again, I give Dennis a pass because he lives out of state. And when my father was dying, his wife was going through colon cancer treatment. So I give him a pass, you know. And with my mother, again, he lives out of state. I give him a pass. It was the middle of winter. You're not going to come from Maine to here in the middle of winter with 2 feet of snow on the ground. Power is at 30%. Hold on. All right, I'm back. I had a book and bottle of lunch. All I did was walk through to get the battery, and everything crashed. I'm gonna look at my microwave cookbook today, I think. See if I can come up with something warm. Anyway, as I was saying, David Allen does not get a pass from me. I'm gonna sit back there. So, well, like I said, Dennis was in Maine. His wife was going through the complications of treatment for colon cancer, and there was 2 feet of snow on the ground, literally. They had to plow a path through the cemetery and then plow out an area at the burial spot. It was terrible. So, if there was 2 feet of snow on the ground here, there was probably 4 feet there. But anyway, so I understand that. I do. Sabrina was already living in Florida. She wanted to come up. But yeah, that wasn't happening with the weather and the time of year and stuff. So, and Jenny was there. Lisa and Renee were both there. Lisa felt so terrible about not being at Dad's. I guess somehow she found out at the last minute that she made sure that she was at Mom's, which is nice. I don't think Lisa ever fully understood that to me, because she lived with us twice. When I was a kid, she was a teenager, that to me, she was the closest thing that I will ever have, unless my sister decides to call me, to a sister. She was my sister more than, as much as she was my cousin. And I don't think that she gets that because she has a million siblings. She has 3 younger sisters, 2 younger brothers. I don't think she gets that, I don't think it's anything bad on her. It's just that she has a million siblings. So I don't think she would understand what it meant to me to have one for a little while. You know what I mean? So, I'm not gonna keep jabbering at you. I think next we're gonna try to play Per Pals on the Wii. See how that goes. I'll be really upset if that doesn't work. Anyway, not that I'm not upset enough about Tetris. Now I'm doubting where I got the Tetris from. This is normally a $20 game. Well, at the time the person bought it, anyway. Where did they buy it from? Let's see if I can read that. No, that's just a code. But yeah. Very disappointed there. Anyway. So that's what we'll do next. We'll play that. Per Pals. I love cats. Anyway, move this out of the way so that I don't have to bruise in the back of my hand. Let's move this over here. Ow. Because I'm not over my own foot. And start. I need to get some exercise anyway. So I'm going to listen to music after I get some exercise. First, we're going to do this. So, I will see you for that. God bless you. Please subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell for notifications. Please check out the other channel, Kid Missing, kind of the main channel. We are working on a goal over there for August 4th, which is my birthday, of 500 subscribers. So, if we do that, we'll go for 1,000 by Christmas. So, but let's see if we can get to our first goal. Maybe if I get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas, I'll do a giveaway or something. It won't be anything extravagant because I have a fixed income, but it's not like I have YouTube income. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I will see you then. God bless you. Bye bye, guys.